growing up, you were a young boy. I was a young boy. Do you remember your friends trying to emulate Jackass at all? Even in the most minute, like, small ways. Like, just like, oh, man, let's jump off this garage. Like, nothing crazy. Or like, oh, like, let's fuck around with shopping carts in the parking lot. Nothing crazy, but just that little thing where, like, nobody's saying it, but, like, you know where you saw that.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
You got any stories? Was there anything any crazy?
No, nothing really. Just in my brief skateboarding days, we just punk kid shit. Just hurt ourselves and destroy property and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nothing too noteworthy?
Nothing really that like pops out. No. I mean, like, yeah, there was definitely a lot of shopping carts. I mean, that's the big thing. If a shopping cart was involved, you were doing Jackass.
Yeah, I never really got in one.
Yeah. Well, you're still young. We could do it at some point.
I did know a little kid who I thought liked BAM too much.
Yeah, if you wore a Him or a BAM shirt, I wasn't a huge fan of you.
Well, he was a young guy, single mother. It seemed like. I mean, I spent the night at his house, and there was only the mom, so I'm assuming single mother. Yet she had a decent amount of money. It seemed like anything that he wanted, it seemed like he had. You know, like he had all those kinds of World Industries stuff and stickers everywhere, like a very small. Like, well, I don't know what you'd call like a half pipe or a quarter pipe or whatever. It was a little baby one, but he still had it in the driveway. You know what I'm saying? You know, they had a pool, they had a trampoline, all that kind of stuff. He was always wearing skatewear, which is not cheap. I remember what was it, CSS or CCS magazines?
Yeah.
The catalog you could order out of. And, just generally, not judging, not being mean, but objectively just kind of a brat, you know, very BAM-like.
Yeah.
Always wearing like that beanie with the lip, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, just the worst.
Yeah. Spent the night at his house one time. We stayed up pretty late playing video games and the like, probably skateboarding video games. Pissed his couch.
You or him?
I pissed his couch,
Hell
definitely, yeah.
That's so punk rock.
And then I remember at school, maybe it was the next day, maybe it was whenever I saw him next, I remember being like, oh, I had so much fun, you know, whatever. Spending the night, like, we should do it again. And he was just like, why? So you can piss on my couch again, like, in front of everybody? And I was so bummed about it. I remember telling my mom, and my mom told his mom, and he got in trouble and stuff, and he had to apologize to me. But hey, good on him for actually apologizing. Because like I said.
That's the meanest thing I've ever heard someone say to someone else.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that hurt you, hearing it?
Yeah, I feel very bad for you. You were like, hey, I like to be in friends. And he's like, you pissed on my couch in front of everybody. Like, that was enough.
Things weren't the same after that. I don't think we ever really talked again.
Yeah, understandably. Yeah, fuck that guy. I had a friend, I won't name names, but as a kid, spent the night, pissed everywhere. I didn't tell nobody. Actually, I probably told some people. But I didn't do it like that in front of everybody.
I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast. If I have, I'm sorry. I pissed the bed almost every night until I was like 16.
Cool.
No, probably like 14. But yeah, one time my family lived in Virginia. My parents got a divorce. My mom stayed in Virginia. And then there was a time where it was like, okay, let's go back to Michigan, where I was from. The night before, there was this kid that my mother made me and my brother be friends with, even though he was younger than both me and my younger brother. So substantially younger than me, decently younger than my younger brother. We stayed up. We were watching Slipknot music videos and stuff because that's what he was into.
Fuck yeah.
I was okay on the Slipknot, but he loved the Slipknot.
Yeah.
We played video games and shit like that, and then bedtime came, and I remember him... and to be honest, his mom was right. He needed friends bad. Because there was a point in the night where it was like, all right, time to go to bed. And he was like, oh, you should sleep in my bed. And I was like, no, it's your bed. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I'll sleep on the couch. And I was like, no, it's okay. Let me sleep on the couch. And he was like, come on, let me sleep in your bed. And I was like, no, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And he was so adamant about it. And I just remember going to bed like, fuck, I have pissed all the piss I can possibly piss. And I know somewhere deep in my balls is a secret reservoir of more piss. And sure enough, when I woke up, oh, did I piss that bed? And you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I made that bed and I left the state.
Hell yeah, you did.
I left the state.
Hell yeah, you did.
Didn't tell a soul.
Oh, God, that's so good.
I kept that zipped up.
State.
Yeah, and then I bought Forever by Drake and Lil Wayne and all them on the iPod, and that's like the only song I had on my iPod, and I just listened to that the whole ride home.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Did you know anybody who behaved like BAM? Do you remember like a kid? Do you have like any stories?
Yes, you jogged some memories.
To be honest, we can bleep his name. Kind of gives me Bam Kid vibes.
No, well...
Do you get what I mean, though?
Yes, bleep the name again. When I was hanging out with
yeah,
and skating, his friends were the Bam Kids. Hung out with the Bam Kids.
So it was like cultural osmosis.
Yes. And that's who my story is about.
His friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one, won't say his name, don't even want to bleep it. We were like 14, 15 at the time. And this kid started coming around. He was friends with that other kid for like years. Like they'd known each other, but I'd never met him before. And he came to skate with us. He had this cool black hair that was like down to the side, but like very clearly like straightened, so it was nice and sharp.
Yeah.
It's just
I bet it had a sheen to it too.
Yeah, and it was like how you wanted your hair to look. Like you saw pictures of kids on MySpace and you're like, that's what I want my hair to look like. And then your parents are like, no.
You ever go back and look at those pictures of the kids you wanted to look like?
Yeah.
And you're like, what was I seeing?
No, I go, I wish I looked like that now. I'm just kidding. No,
like snake bites. I want a snake bite so bad.
I wanted snake bites so bad, Chris.
So glad it was.
14, 15-year-old Nick, it's all he wanted. But anyway, this kid had that cool hair, and I'm not shitting you, I'm pretty sure snake bites.
Yeah. I knew kids who were like in high school that had them, and I was like, who let you?
Yeah. And I was
where are
like,
your
this
parents?
guy's got to be 17, 18 years old. He's got this big old jaw. He's clearly much older than us. I'm very scared. Turns out, 12. Like, just looked way older than us.
You just jogged my memory. I remember being in like the 4th or 5th grade, and the elementary school that I went to, after school or whatever, maybe it was like latchkey or maybe it was even lunchtime. I can't remember, but I just remember playing on the playground. It had to be lunch, and every day there were 2 goth girls from either middle school or high school who would just sit by the trash, the garbage, and we would go like crowd around them and talk to the goth girls. So they were way older. That's what reminded me, and the snake bites and the hair and stuff. But yeah, don't remember ever having really conversations with them. I just remember them and their big old rave pants and red hair and stuff, and just talking.
Oh yeah, around that age, nothing Nick loved more than older goth girls.
But anyways, your snake bite man.
Snake bite man. He might have just had one. Now that I think about it, not important. Just an insane man. I'm pretty sure his dad was like a hard drug dealer. Like not like was really a drug dealer. Like dealt hard drugs.
Yeah.
And I think his mom was using and stuff like that. And it was just a bunch of just insane shit. Like, hey, like I dare you. Like, well, let's all climb on top of this building and just dumb shit like that, or pushing each other around in shopping carts. And then I remember like one day I was riding around on my bike with a friend who we're not going to name.
Yeah.
And this snakebite kid, we just hear a screeching, and from around the corner, this 12-year-old snakebite kid comes around in his mom's car. And he's like, get in! And I was like, no! And friend was like, yeah! And got in his car, and I was like, I'm never going to see him again. He's going to die. And it was just a bunch of dumb shit like that, and it was a lot of fun, and like we'd steal bikes and shit like that, or like ring doorbells and run away and stuff like that. But then I got to the point where like start getting a little bit older, and the first time I see or I'm around weed is in his basement. I'm like, all right, cool, yeah. And then we go there another time, and he's like, hey, check it out, I got a gun. And I'm like,
are you talking about gateway drug?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
You're talking about gateway drug.
I'm talking about gateway drug.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, here's a gun, and we're like,
classic arc.
He's like, we're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh no, don't worry, it's no problem. It sounds like a hammer outside, and just start shooting it into the wall.
Ooh.
And I was like, cool, we're gonna go.
Yikes.
And I think I just left, but yeah, then like I said, he was so much older than me that like a couple
not
years
older,
younger than me, sorry, that like a couple of years into high school, he like showed up at my high school and like just sat at I didn't talk to this kid.
Yeah.
I hadn't talked to him in a few years. Just when he was a freshman, he sat at my lunch table. It was just gray and had a shaved head.
Yeah.
And his just veins were very prominent. I was afraid of him.
Yeah. Pretty off the topic, but similar to the Jackass Bammy kids. When I lived in Virginia, I was a part of like a skate, for lack of a better term, like a crew, like just friends who all skated. They didn't really skate together much, but yeah, there's no specific story really, but there's something about a lot of kids who are into skateboarding where for some reason they have like this, like I said, this is just from my experience. Not all, obviously not all, but a lot of the skate kids that I interacted with, like that young kid I was talking about in elementary school, all the way up until high school, always came from like a weird mix of like parents who had a decent amount of money to like just feed any kind of weird thing they might order out of the catalog, and then also that would let them do whatever they want, kind of like they were kind of cool parents. Like they would always talk about how like, oh yeah, and then we're gonna go to so and so's house because you know, her mom doesn't mind if we drink over there, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember like hanging out and like, you know, like climbing on top of like a church roof or whatever, and then, you know, skateboarding and stuff like that, and then being like, all right, we're gonna go over to wherever and smoke weed or whatever, and me being like, no, my mom only said I could hang out at the church. She's gonna be here in a little bit, and I get in trouble if I go off with you guys.
That was me, yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah.
The few times I did go off with him, he was like, hey, here's a gun. And I was like, oh, Mom was right.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the primary times that I went off with the friend, I was allowed to be at the McDonald's skateboarding, and then they were like, hey, we're going to grandma's. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of got to go because my parents are not planning on picking me up until like 8, 9 o'clock or whatever. And then, went off to grandma's, called my mom. I was like, hey, they want to spend the night over at so-and-so's house. Is that cool? She was like, yeah, that's cool. Go over to so-and-so's house. We're hanging out. They're like checking their older brother's room for weed. He's out of weed, but he gets off work later. Maybe he'll have weed. We're hanging out, having a good time. And then my friend's mom like starts yelling upstairs like, oh, your dad's on the phone and shit like that. I'm like, my damn dad's in Michigan. Why would my dad be calling here? You know what I mean? So I go downstairs and it's my mom's boyfriend. And he was like, where are you at? I'm coming to pick you up, whatever. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because you weren't supposed to leave the McDonald's and stuff. And I'm like, well, the mom said that I could come spend the night or whatever. And he's like, I don't care. That wasn't the plan. You said you were gonna be at the McDonald's, and I went to the McDonald's and you weren't there and stuff like that. And I was like, well, then Mom should have told you. Like I don't
Communicate with your fucking wife, man.
Yeah. Anyways, ended up getting picked up and brought me home and stuff like that, and yeah, I got grounded, quote unquote. My mom was like, you know what you did wrong? And I was like, I literally told her, I was like, Mom, I really don't, because you told me I could spend the night. I don't know why. I really don't know why I'm home now. So yeah, well, that's kind of a bummer. You got anything light to lift it up?
No, yours ended sadder than I wanted it to. So did mine, but I was gonna say, yeah, no, that was the move. I remember getting in trouble for being out too late, and it's like, oh no. I just tell my mom I'm staying at Doug's house. Doug tells his mom he's staying at my house. And then we just do fucking bad shit all night long. We'll go skate behind warehouses and throw rocks through things.
Yeah. Did you ever do that? Like stay out super late when you were that young?
Yeah, we would just skate all night long and then like, I don't know. Just stop for a few hours and just post up somewhere and hang out and talk or whatever, and then when it's like, oh cool, the sun's coming up, we're gonna start skating again. And then none of us were good. It's not like we're like going to secret spots while no one's around. We're just like, oh no, it's 5 a.m, we can kind of see and we can skate down the highway. It's great.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
Anyway.
Yeah, as we alluded to, we watched Jackass.
Yeah, and because we watched without a paddle and didn't think we had enough. So I convinced Chris to watch Jackass because I've been real nostalgic for it lately.
Yeah.
We don't have a letter for this one, unfortunately.
Why?
Because I'm being honest, I thought like we were gonna pull it out if necessary at the end, so I didn't think I'd need one. But
I gotcha.
We're here first, so.
Well, I got something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote down every bit they did, and then I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I put a little mark next to which one I liked.
Okay.
So I don't know where you want to get to that. If you just want to talk about Jackass in a more, I could share this with you. I don't know if you want to use this as like an aid to kind of move through the movie kind of quickish.
Yeah, sure, we could do that for
All
sure.
right. If you would let me know when you got it pulled up, I sent it to your phone.
I was gonna say you want to do your history of Jackass, but also.
Hey, we kind of did our history of Jackass.
Just did.
You know? Yeah. Obviously, it was huge.
Yeah, insane to think about me being 8 and watching this shit on MTV.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a staple. MTV was also a staple. I was watching the Andy Milonakis show and all kinds of just whatever came on,
Yeah, like this shit makes me just super nostalgic.
Yeah.
Like talking about specifically Jackass.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like, hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville and welcome to Jackass.
That is my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
Is the beginning of them in the big shopping cart.
Yeah.
There's the big opera music, and it's like, oh, this feels like a movie, and this is cool, and it's like not amazingly shot, but it's better than the show has ever been, And it's in slow-mo, and each of the freeze frames it gets of all of them when it says their name are just perfect. And then all the shit starts exploding, and they're all basically stuntmen, so they're actually jumping off the giant shopping cart and stuff like that, and they just get destroyed. And then Johnny Knoxville goes, "Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass," and they crash into the thing and it says Jackass the movie.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and seeing that and being like, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen."
It is also interesting. I know there have been documentaries on the whole starting up of the whole process. It genuinely interesting. Like, it's tangential to skateboarding, but specifically a bunch of weirdos who are stuntmen to a degree, but not in the movie set sense or the Evel Knievel sense necessarily, because that doesn't exist. But then kind of becomes the epitome of what that looks like in the year 2000, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, they're it's like a bunch of skate rats with a bunch of guys that film skate rats.
What did Johnny Knoxville do before this?
I think he was a writer for Big Brother. Big Brother was a magazine that Jeff Tremaine.
So he likes skateboarding?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Or I think he was just a writer.
Okay.
If memory serves correct, because there's the Big Brother crew and then the CKY crew, and they come together.
Yeah,
and make Jackass.
and I am familiar with CKY. I don't know if you ever watched those tapes.
Here and there, yeah.
Yeah, they're a little more kind of gross out. A lot of
they're
piss,
just gnarly.
piss
A
and
lot of
shit.
poop. Yeah. And I think the big thing was he was writing an article about testing self-defense weapons on himself, and decided to film it, and that was one of the first videos Big Brother did.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this could be something.
I did see a clip the other day where he was talking about that Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville thing.
Yeah.
Apparently it was just something Spike was like, why don't you do that? And it worked out so well in the one clip that he was like, I want you to do that every time.
It's awesome. It's so good. Also, me and you, I think, have collectively agreed multiple times to each other. Just Johnny Knoxville. Just
one of the coolest guys. There's something about him.
World,
he's got just something, just kind of like a swagger.
Yeah, so it's the thing that really I watched 4 a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it got me in that, and it really got me in this too. Just how honestly funny he is. Just from moment to moment and stuff like that. Not to jump around in the skits or whatever, but just when Steve-O's on that tightrope walking over the alligators.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you got this, and he's like, Johnny Knoxville goes, yeah, if there's one thing I know, it's good tightrope walking.
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of the best way I think I could try to describe it is one part Bart Simpson, one part Brad Pitt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But anyways, this movie opens on one of my favorite bits of theirs. It's the auto rental.
It's so good. Yeah.
That's a great bit. The whole concept of this skit is I'm going to rent this car, take it to a demo derby, and then bring it back and kind of play it off oh yeah, I got in a little accident, I hit a dog or whatever.
That's I hit a dog.
Yeah. I also love, he's talking about how he's like, I've got to be honest, I was drinking. He's like, honestly, I was drinking when I came here and rented the car. And also him just being like, can't pay for this. You're going to have to help me. All the way through, it's just carried by Johnny Knoxville being able to play it off well.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I'll allude, we talk about it later, but the race car thing at the end. Steve-O was supposed to do it initially. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Ryan Dunn fan, but he was the perfect one to do the race car thing. Because he's got the right amount of shame and remorse and soft meekish to for it to be believable that he's like, I don't know what happened. I went to a party last night. Just the way that he plays out. It's
exactly.
perfect. Yeah. And Johnny Knoxville's got the jam to pull off the auto rental. Great bit.
I watched I wanted to watch the rest of them. And on Netflix, they're like, yeah, we got the whole collection. They have 1, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. And those are extra shit that didn't make it into the actual movie.
Oh.
So they don't have them all, actually.
Yeah, interesting.
And so I just watched the, I guess, behind-the-scenes cut shit from the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Dunn was really getting me in 3.5.
Really interesting.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. In this first one, he doesn't really have a lot to do. Honestly, neither does Bam. Bam's not really in this first one much.
There's a scene where Danger Aaron is like asleep on a couch in like the production office or something like that. And it's Ryan Dunn and Bam, and they're like, we're going to go wake him up. And they've got like doctored coats on and stuff like that. And they pull out a defibrillator. And they go to him while he's sleeping, and they go, clear, and they shock him, and he gets up and he just screams. He's so mad. He's like, oh, what the fuck, you guys? Fuck you. And Ryan Dunn goes, we're doctors.
The next one is the bowling alley. It's a very quick little, like, almost like a segue skit.
Love it about this movie. There's so much. There's a lot of stuff in here that's like really high production value, and then just here's someone jumping into a ceiling fan.
Yeah. So they do a little bowling alley skit. He just rides a skateboard down, knocks over the pins. Next one is the muscle simulator.
Whatever.
Yeah, that one's whatever. Honestly, that's the one that gives me the most, like, bro-y vibes. There's just a bunch of shirtless dudes. Like, it almost seems like it'd be happening at a dorm. So far, just for the record, auto rental is in the number 1 slot. The next one, I love this one. Just Preston Lacey sitting down on a bench. It breaks and his pants rip. It's classic. Something else to mention about the early 2000s is it's just interesting, like the culture at large, because a lot of this ends up playing like a lot of like Family Guy cutaways or something. Like that's such a simple little dumb joke that like could have been set up and then cut to in an episode of Family Guy or something like that. The next one is the golf cart putt-putt. They just kind of blaze around, breaking shit. I don't know if it's the same as like later when they end up getting when Johnny gets concussed. Is that like, anyways, whatever. It's still whatever. Party Boy happens. I'm whatever on Party Boy.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours and the ones that you have written down that you like, and I think we're pretty 1-to-1 on these.
Okay.
If you want to just skip around to the ones that you like, or you can go through all of them if you want.
Yeah, just run through them a little bit. Yeah. Wee Man Karate Headbutt.
Funny.
Yeah, whatever. Johnny Knoxville alligator nipples. It's entertaining, but it's only 3 seconds long. Alligator tightrope is fine. I do like that he puts the chicken back in, even though he doesn't have to. It's Steve-O or whatever.
My favorite part is the payoff at the end where he's talks about like, oh yeah, no, I've never walked a tightrope before.
Yeah. Now, Bam waking up April and Phil with fireworks is just hilarious. That's a good prank.
It's very good.
It's a very funny prank.
Especially when they come back 5 hours later and do it in his van.
Yeah. Getting into the van. Oh god, it's such a good 1-2 punch. The shoplifter is great. I know they went on to do the bad grandpa stuff. I love the idea of Johnny Knoxville just playing an old man who can't stop trying to steal shit.
What's all this? What's all this in your jacket?
It's like, this is all me.
I will disagree with you.
What's that?
I love the next one.
Hardware store shit. I loved it growing up. I still like it. It's a pretty funny bit. It's a pretty funny bit. It's also funny that he shits his pants in the van.
That I could do without all that.
That's what I liked more when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea of like, oh, let me just poop in the hardware thing. That one's just a little... It's pushing it far compared to the fireworks thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely...
I think that's as far as...
It's an edgier bit.
Funny for me still, yeah. It just gets me every time.
Yeah. It's definitely a classic. It's a staple of this movie. The random hair clippers thing.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's fine. I could do without it. Mousetrap, that's pretty funny. Just because he's like, oh, I'm a giant mouse. I'm going to roll around in mousetraps. That's funny. You don't need anything more.
I do love the feeling of a lot of the bits where like someone's like, you know what would be funny right now?
Yeah.
If we went into that corner over there.
Yeah, you put that mouse mask on.
Exactly.
And then Preston, why don't you run to the store and buy as many mousetraps as you can? The bungee wedgie, meh.
Butcher Bam and his dumb friends hate those guys.
Yeah, to be honest, his friends bum me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all seem like, and I'm pretty sure it's true, but it all seems like they have like substance abuse problems.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm not holding that against anybody. It just is obvious when you see them. They're just kind of a bummer.
They're the kids that we were just talking about, the Bam
when
kids.
They grow up a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, and they're just, and you know that they're fucking whiny. I just hate looking at them.
Anyways, riot control test. That reminds me of it's a decent bit because it reminds me of what you were just talking about with Johnny, that being kind of the origins. It's fine. It's just not like a big hitter. The big cone. The Wee Man gets in the big cone. It's not
big
bad.
Cone's a hitter. Yeah,
it's
for me,
good, yeah.
It's just such a good. It's just such a dumb cartoon. Like I think it was. I heard Johnny Knoxville say it once. He's like, yeah, when I'm writing skits for Jackass, I just watch a lot of cartoons. Like, yeah, we could probably do that.
The next one is when Spike, I think it's Spike Jones himself, right? Yeah. He's just going down that big hill on his scooter going, oh my God, oh, my brakes, oh.
It's great.
I don't know if it's this one, but I think it is when that guy finally saves him. He's like, oh, you want to come home for dinner?
Yeah.
Ass kicked by a girl is fine. Not really doing much for me. Tropical pole vaulting is also fine. Pushing a cart into a guy, boogie boarding in a puddle. That is the weakest one. This is the worst skit they do.
It's my favorite though because it's so it's
literally nothing. This is
nothing.
not content.
It would not make it into the TV show or a CKY video. I don't know why
it would barely make the Jackass TikTok if it was like starting up this year. Like, anyways, next one, Night Pandas. I like this one because it's just so much fun.
It's wholesome. Yeah,
they're running around, and everybody in Japan who bumps into them is loving the bit.
Yeah,
everybody's in on it. It's just fun.
It's great.
I like it because it's one of the few ones where like nobody is hurt.
They like fall into a bar and knock over a bunch of glass.
But that's just kind of legit. A bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like Muscle Stimulator where like, oh, why do we, make someone's balls hurt or whatever. It's just everybody having a good time. Anyways, next one. Bam promises mom will say fuck. That's not an actual bit. That's just him setting up for later.
Is it real?
I love Rocket Skates.
Rocket Skates is
almost
out of control.
Not content, but it's so fucking funny. It's almost parallel to the guy getting a cart pushed at him when he's trying to boogie board, but it's so fucking funny.
It's great because like he starts going and then they explode and you're like, oh, he's gonna go, and then every time within a second he falls and they just explode on his feet.
This might be tied with The Shoplifter and Auto Rental. Those three are like.
They're great.
S tier for me. Those are so funny. Roller skate disco truck.
Fine.
Yeah. Wasabi snooters.
Blech.
Just kind of sad.
They're just the ones where it's just Steve-O puking.
Yeah.
It's just... Yeah.
Big sumo, little sumo is... Like I said, this one's like a Family Guy cutaway.
Yeah.
Gong.
Fine.
Steve-O jumps into ceiling fan. Iconic.
Love it.
But also fine. April, alligator in the house. She says fuck. Johnny Grinds, very cute moment.
I like it. Yeah. I love how excited Eric Costin is for him.
Yeah. Whitey tighties in a hot tub.
Dumb.
That's a dud. Paper Cuts is fucking hard to watch.
It is
really hard to watch.
My favorite part about it though is when like Johnny Knoxville's like, I'm done, and Steve-O sits down and they start doing like his mouth and stuff like that. Then he gets up because they're clearly just in a hotel room and he's like, God, glad I came to see what was going on in this room.
Oh yeah, that's a great line. I do remember him saying that. Yeah. So Fat BMX. I know it looks like everybody's having a good time. It's okay.
I think Tony Hawk really hurt himself pretty bad on that one.
I did that a lot as a kid though. I would put on my parents' clothes and like stuff.
Yeah.
Shit into it.
Fun.
Yeah. Try to be big and big. Butterbean, iconic. Is Butterbean okay?
The funniest thing I think I've heard anyone ever say. Yeah.
Dude gets lit up by Butterbean, literally snoring. He's knocked out so bad. And the first thing he says is, huh? Is Butterbean okay?
Oh, so fucking good.
Jousting is straight up CKY. Just
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Wild Boys jerk off the sea cucumbers. That's some Wild Boys shit. I wasn't really a Wild Boys fan.
Yeah, me neither. It was also just a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like CKY but taken down a step.
Yeah. Swimming with whale sharks is also just some Wild Boy stuff. Tidal Wave is fine. It is actually like kind of a stunt, but it's fine. Do you have anything to say about Tidal Wave? Off-Road Tattoo is whatever. Henry Rollins is there, so
that's cool.
Yeah. The merry-go-round.
I don't remember this one.
It's just they have one of the guys sitting in the middle of the merry-go-round and they have like a truck pull the chain so the merry-go-round goes fast.
And then they shake
really fun to do in real life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not with the car, but like, when you're at a park and your friends just try to push you as fast as you can. But also basically almost non-content. The only thing that saves it is getting them with the clippers after.
Yeah, I think that's the point of it. Yeah.
Fireworks and Ash, while an iconic scene, also just kind of a dud for me. Doesn't do too much.
I do like when they do it taped to Chris Pontius' dick.
Yeah.
And then they do both of them together.
Yeah.
And I fucking can't remember what Chris Pontius says, but it gets me. I think it's
fun. BMX Tug of War. I don't remember this one too much. BMX Tug of War.
Me neither, but if I had to guess, two guys are on bikes going opposite ways with a bungee cord attached to them.
Something like that.
That's what it sounds like.
Yellow Snow Cone is, for me, not that good.
Nope, sucks.
Kind of disgusting. Hard to watch for me.
It sucks because like he eats it and he's like, oh god, that's gross. And then he's like, I'm gonna throw up, and then someone has to come out and start kicking him to make it funny. It's just not good.
Yeah, not good. Wee Man kicks himself in the head.
Great.
It's funny. Bam beats Phil on the shitter is one of the worst. I think this one's emblematic of my least favorite aspects of Bam. There's nothing funny about that.
Yeah, it's just not great.
It's just him coming in and punching his dad while he's on the shitter.
It's just Bam Kid funny.
Yeah, it's like there's the fireworks thing, which is objectively funny, which Bam does sometimes, and then there's just Bam shit, which is just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
whatever.
Golf course air horn, great. That's
Out
hilarious.
of control. I
That's
love it
very
so
funny.
much.
I love especially because you can hear Johnny, like when the guy tees up to actually shoot the balls at him, he goes, wait, hang on a second, because he's about to blow the air horn when the guy tries to hit a ball at them.
And it makes me laugh. Like, I love it so much because I love at the beginning when they're doing it to the old ladies. And it's like, oh, this is funny. And then the other two guys come up to them, and it's like, oh, right. Like, this is kind of a shitty thing to do to somebody. But golf courses are just full of rich, entitled, white old dudes like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is great. I love this even more now.
Yeah. Cougar and Mouse, whatever. The Burglars, that's a great one for me.
Solid gold.
Very funny. That's another S tier, perhaps. Race car in the ass, iconic, and I gotta be honest, it's one of those things that, like, when I think back to Jackass, I'm always like, oh god, that one, and then you watch it, and you're like, no, this is pretty good.
It's gold, like just right from the rip. Like it's slow, whatever, blah blah blah, and then right when that nurse is holding it, and she just has a look on her face.
Oh, especially when the doctor is speaking in his native tongue on the phone with somebody, and he's like, yeah, I think they passed out at a sex party. They were having sex with each other, and they passed out drunk. It's so funny. Oh, and then when the doctor's like, tell nobody about this. This guy knows. That's too many people.
Yeah. You don't tell your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your family. You just go. Mm-hmm. It's great.
And then we end on the lake catapult thing, which is, again, kind of a dud, but it's saved by Rip Taylor. I like him. I love him at the end, just being like, oh, it's over. I can't wait. And then when he whispers in Johnny's ear, and he's like, we got to do a sequel, and it's going to be called Son of Jackass. It's so good.
It's great.
Very cute. Very wholesome. Rip Taylor,
I think he's at the end of all of them except for 4 because he passed. But
and then we get another very cinematic shot at the end there with them all very old, and it's called Son of Jackass, and they all die except for Steve-O until he does, kind of, or does he just get away?
I don't remember.
Yeah, neither do I. Watch Steve-O outlive all of them. Watch it happen, I promise.
I hope not.
But anyway,
I mean, that's an awful thing to say. I don't know why I hope not. Why would I say that?
At the end of the day, like I said, classic. It's definitely got a place in my heart. I feel like the best I can do, if I'm haggling, like Pawn Stars man, I'm thinking C+, but for classic plus.
Yeah,
it's a classic. C+, I think.
I didn't think about having to rate this movie.
It's hard.
Yeah,
because it's not really a movie, but I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just kind of, it's just not. It's like an extended episode of the show. Almost.
It's an extended skate video without the city of the skateboarding stuff.
Yeah,
I give it a B-. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I think 2 is the big one, if I can remember correctly.
That one feels more like a movie deal. That one feels more like a movie deal.
No, it feels more. It feels better. Like, in my mind, I think it might be a better movie. Like, just a better Jackass movie.
Yeah. This one does have a lot of charm, though. What else did we watch, Nick?
Well, Chris,
I think we already said it, but go ahead.
We watched Without a Paddle.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's Without a Paddle mean to you?
To me, Without a Paddle is the movie that was stuck in the portable DVD player on the way to family camping trips.
Yeah?
And family visits in other states. So I watched Without a Paddle, no joke, probably 40 times in a couple of years. It was just this back to back with like Bruce Almighty and the Iron Giant, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
And I've always been afraid to go back and watch it because I was afraid it wouldn't hold up.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know where the fuck I came across this thing. I don't know. Yeah, where even for you, what do you think your parents just bought it and watched it?
Oh,
and they were
I'm
like,
sure
fuck
it was in the
the
bin at Blockbuster that said $2 per DVD, and my dad was just like, yoink, yoink, yoink.
Yeah, but either way, somehow it came, and it was just a movie I watched all the time as a kid for some reason. Mm-hmm. Thought it was funny, and for better or worse, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but this reminds me a lot of like the video games we talked about a couple of years ago, a couple of episodes ago, where it's just.
Did you ever play the Jackass video game?
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I did. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Sorry, go on.
We'll talk about that on our second podcast. But anyways,
fuck, I totally forgot. That was going to be one of my cold opens. I forgot to write it down. It's going to be like, well, we should start a video game podcast. Anyway, go on.
But I don't even remember what the fuck I was saying.
I'm so sorry.
I know, I got it. The video games we were talking about the other day. This is just a style of comedy that I feel like you don't see a lot anymore. But they used to be cranking these shits out. Happy Madison is a great example. Any movie made by that production company. But also just this movie doesn't even have to be comedians. I feel like for a long stretch of time there were a bunch of comedies that were like passable, if not bad, that just had a bunch of people you knew in it.
Absolutely.
And they were like, fine, send it out. But, you know, in terms of my history, I loved Unsolved Mysteries, Bigfoot, Aliens, X-Files, and stuff like that. So this movie got me with the D.B. Cooper stuff. Got me in the beginning with that song, because obviously it's sad.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite for me. I've never really been into that stuff, so whenever someone says D.B. Cooper, I think of Without a Paddle.
I definitely think about it anytime someone has D.B. Cooper. So yeah, it was right up my alley. And I saw it a million times just like you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good childhood movie. Well, that's that mattress, man. I'm just kidding. Mail time. Read the mail.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this little.
Yeah, you always
sucker.
do. I don't know how.
Yeah. This one better be good. Oh, Without a Paddle, 2004. Check your phone. Look, 2004 was a weird time. All right, for everyone. September 11th is real fresh on everyone's mind. NASA puts a little robot on the Mars. The final episode of Frasier, Friends, and Ronald Reagan's Life all air. That one nerd creates Facebook. Osama bin Laden shows up on our TVs, and we elect George W. Bush for the second time. Personally, I was trying really hard to wrap my head around long division and my times tables, but I think we can all agree that none of us expected just how much we were going to get into Green Day next year. Anyway, I kind of lost the plot here, but you know what I'm getting at. Without a Paddle is a weird, not great, not bad movie. 4 out of 10. Anyways, this thing stars Dax Shepard, Seth Green,
and
Matthew Lillard.
Our boy.
Yeah.
Our pride and joy.
3 actors who I genuinely think are funny, even though none of them really ever knock it out of the park in terms of like being funny in a movie that's also good. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
I can't think of anything offhand for any of them, but also I think they are all individually very funny.
I think they all individually deserve better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are 3 people who could have definitely. Seth Green got to be in Austin Powers, but as we've established on this show, that first one didn't hold up. I wouldn't mind seeing some of the sequels, but that first one didn't hold up that much.
Yeah, no.
The Dr. Evil stuff does. Seth Green stuff does. But yeah, Dax Shepard, just before we even get into it, arguably the funniest part of this movie for me.
He's not bad, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, very simple premise. A bunch of kids who were obsessed with D.B. Cooper and Indiana Jones and stuff like that spent their whole childhood thinking, damn, we got to find these dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Out there in the Canadian wilderness, although the movie seems to imply that it was in America.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's just a bunch of $2 bills in a box somewhere. They're not $2 bills. But anyways, one of the 4 dies. Obviously, the one that's not played by any of the actors I've mentioned. And
he's played by Anthony Starr, I believe his name is, who plays Homelander in The Boys.
Yeah. I heard conservatives are very mad about The Boys right now.
Yeah, they always have been. Because The Boys is like, it's very political. And it's like, hey, the plot of the show is, hey, what if superheroes were real and they were owned by fucking Amazon and Disney? And so they're like, hey, all these mean powerful people would be like, hey, cancel culture, and some of us are Nazis, and also we rape women if they want good jobs and stuff like that. And so conservatives are like, this is just a bunch of leftist propaganda.
So Seth Green becomes a doctor. Matthew Lillard is a businessman who serves.
Yes.
And Dax Shepard fucks.
Yes. Dax Shepard is our comedic relief.
Yeah.
Seth Green is our
C-3PO.
meek C-3PO comedic relief. And Matthew Lillard is our everyman audience surrogate.
Yep. Hey, I love surfing.
Hey, me too, man. Never done it, but I'm pretty into it.
Yeah. So Matthew Lillard gets to technically, I guess, be the main character. He's very aloof, very Homer Simpson-esque in this relationship. Has no idea that the anniversary is happening because all he cares about is being with his lady and surfing. He doesn't remember dates or nothing like that.
Yeah, he comes in with his puka shell necklace and he's like, ooh, dip.
Yeah. He loves dip. He just whap.
A bunch of chips right there. Just one finger right in the dip.
50-50 on the line. But he does say that thing about how she's like, I'm sick of playing disappointed girlfriend. He's like, would disappointed wife make you happier? It's kind of funny. It's also kind of, whatever. Anyways, better than Dak Shepard's scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The girl that he's having sex with ends up being a lesbian. He's like, let's turn this into a Tom sandwich.
And the lesbian karate kicks him through a window or something.
Call back to Jackass. Yeah, girl, ass kicked by a girl.
Yeah.
Anyways.
By a girl, yeah.
The friend dies. Everyone comes home to their hometown for the funeral. That's when you get Dak Shepard's, one of his funniest scenes. He pulls up late on a very loud motorcycle, literally riding over other graves.
Yeah.
And he goes, is this Billy Newman's funeral? Is this the right funeral? Is this the corpse of Billy Newman? Nobody's answering him. Very funny. They go back to their little childhood tree house. They're looking in their little box, their promise box. They were like, oh, unless we find DB's treasure, we can't have the things inside of it. C-3PO puts a C-3PO in there. What does Matthew Lillard put in there?
Matthew Lillard.
What does Matthew Lillard put in there?
Matthew Lillard puts in his Indiana Jones compass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, no, because he gave that to the thing, and then he says Billy must have been, he gave it to Billy, and then he was like, oh, Billy must have been keeping up with this stuff all these years. He must have put it back. Yeah,
he put it in a box. And then when Billy left, he
took
took
it out of the box,
gave it to Billy, and Billy put it back.
Dak Shepard puts in a condom, his first condom ever, and then in the heat of the moment, Matthew Lillard is like, you know what, we got to go on this trip. Everything goes back in the box.
Yeah, because they find all the maps that Billy
yeah.
Because they're like, oh yeah, last year Billy wanted me to go on this camping trip, but I was busy, I couldn't go.
Great touch. I'm glad they include that. Then they're in the middle of nowhere, presumably the first stop of the trip. They meet the sheriff, yada yada yada. Matthew Lillard has a little phone call with his girlfriend. It's not a good one.
It never is. Not in this movie for Matt.
Yeah, striking out. Anyways, they get a canoe. They start up the river. This is the second time that I laughed during this movie. Matthew literally christening the boat with a Budweiser, and then the guy who owns the canoe going, "Thanks for breaking glass where my kids play."
So good.
Anything up to this point stand out to you as you want to, chop it up?
No, just how, like, the back of my hand, I remember so much of this movie, and then so much of it just hits me out of nowhere, where I'm like, fuck, did not see that coming. Like, I remember stuff from the DVD. That's how much I watched this movie, Chris. I watched the DVD director's commentary. Like, there's a scene when he's on the phone with his girlfriend who hates him, and you can see the other two guys walk up behind him, look at each other, and then scutter backwards, and then the shot changes, and then they come into scene, like, on each other's back or whatever. Another DVD commentary, they're like, yeah, we were too early and missed our mark, so that's us looking at each other, realizing that, and then skipping backwards. So they just do that shot for some reason. I remember that, but I don't remember the Tom sandwich scene. Just don't show like that.
So they set out at this point. Everything's fine. They're pissing in the creek. They're drinking beers. They're splashing each other. Great time.
Insane move. Thinking about it being like, oh, let's go on this trip, and the trip involves getting in a boat and then just going. Reading a map for a while. Can't imagine.
Well, hey, maybe I'm dumb and maybe I'd die, but I would do it. If you and Elton were like, yo, we found this map that, like, one of our other friends that means something to us, pick one, I don't care, was playing this, and then he died, I'd be like, yeah, I'll go.
I don't care.
So anyways, then they hold up for the night.
I would do that, but I'd have to be like,
convince me.
Show me right now
that
you know how to read a map. Yes.
Because you don't want to get into a Blair Witch situation.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the fear. That's what I was thinking through this whole movie. I'm like, this is Blair Witch without a ghost or without a witch.
Yeah, because again, I mean, to beat a dead horse, if we're lost for more than 40 minutes and someone's still maintaining they can read it, I swear to God, I'm snapping and saying, no, you fucking can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot. You can't. Yeah. Anyways, they camp up for the first night. Don't really remember much what they talk about. I'm sure Matthew Lillard says something about how he cares about his surfing.
It's actually a very nice scene that I like, where he's just like, they all talk about their jobs and what they're doing and what they like. And
yeah, Dax Harper says, yeah, I'm selling Harleys, making about $12,000 a month.
Yeah, and what's his face is a doctor, and Matthew Lillard goes, nah, fuck my job, I hate it. I like surfing. I like this right here, right now. Just being in the moment like Billy was. It's like, oh, that's very nice, but also...
Was Billy in the moment?
Sad.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I hate my life, so I like this moment where I've gotten to run away, and because of that, I'm doing nothing right now.
Yeah. Then the next thing happens, and it's fine, because this is and I mean no disrespect by this, it's a dumb movie, but Mr. Seth Green is like, I brought spaceman food, and everybody's like, oh, man. The only reason why I say it's dumb is because obviously they would all make sure food was on lock. But it sets up a pretty funny scene, in my opinion, where Dax Shepard starts talking bullshit like we know for a fact he does about how he can catch a fish with a flashlight. And they're all like, I will literally give you $100,000 on my left nut if you catch a fish.
We're going to rewrite this movie as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it would have worked a lot better if they just had food.
Yeah.
And then Dax Shepard went, no, we're out in the wilderness.
I'm gonna eat.
We're gonna catch our food.
But I do like that he does catch it, because like I said, it's a nice subversion of like his usual lying, but like it also adds a little depth to the characters, because then it's like, well, now because he does that, like it makes all the lying believable. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know
he's good at some things.
Yeah. So anyways, he catches the fish. He fucking throws it to them. They don't catch it. And he's like, Jesus Christ, be ready. And then he says just more dumb shit that because it's Jack Shepard, it works as far as I'm concerned. When he's like, now I have to change up the pattern because they've gotten used to the figure eight.
Yeah.
Anyways, they wake up the next morning and I think they find some hillbillies throwing dynamite into the river.
Yeah, some guy and the guy from My Name Is Earl.
Yeah. When I was a kid, these guys really rubbed me the wrong way when I was a kid. And honestly, to today, I don't mean to be discriminatory. Big ol' hicks scare me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to judge a book by its cover. I know it's wrong, but it's scary. So, anyways, they decide to go around, and you get a nice establishing shot that Matthew Lillard's call about, like, you know, because I think Dax says, well, isn't there a fork coming up? And he's like, nah, I think we already passed it or whatever. And you like zoom out and you see that there was a right path for them to take, and they didn't take it.
Yeah, like 6 feet behind them.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's bad.
And they fall into some rapids, which is one of those things where, like, you're half like, that looks badass, but also I would definitely die in real life if that was going on.
Nope, just scary to me. Just don't like looking at it.
Yeah.
Water scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if it was just flat under that, you know, and there were rocks everywhere, and it was just somehow happening natural. Like, it was like a wave pool or something. Like, that's what it kind of looks like for a second, but then you're like,
if it was
no,
happening naturally, like a wave pool.
If it was happening artificially, like a wave pool.
Yeah.
But anyways, then they fall off a giant waterfall, and all this shit's fucked. They're cooked. They wander off into the woods. That's when they bump into the bear. The bear takes Seth Green because he's a big old baby.
No. He catches the fish and throws that at him, and that's where the bear shows up.
They catch other fish?
No.
Oh,
First
earlier
fish.
we missed
Yes.
that. Oh, yeah. Steamrolled past that. Yeah. Forgot there was the whole thing where the bear takes him and eats his cell phone. They sleep in the tree all night. Then all the stuff I was just saying about them going down the river happens. They go off into the woods. What happens the first time they go off into the woods?
When? I'm so sorry, Chris. I'm watching a full playthrough of Jackass the video game on your computer while you're talking, and I'm missing half of what you're saying. And every time you ask me something, I go, I gotta stop doing this. And no, it's really gotten me.
Yeah.
Okay, first time they go in the woods after when?
They've fallen down the waterfall and all that kind of stuff. They go off into the woods.
Oh, they wash up. Seth Green goes, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going home. And Dax Shepard goes, okay, great. We just have to get back up that waterfall.
Yeah.
And so like, fuck, all right, we got to keep going. And then they run into the Hicks in their weed farm.
They're weed farming.
Leonard and Skinner.
Yeah, the dog's named Leonard Skinner. That's very funny. There's
I knew
two
a
dogs,
kid
Leonard and
in
Skinner.
elementary school who had 2 dogs named Leonard and Skinner, who
Less
were both
funny.
Rottweilers. It's
Definitely less funny.
a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny in the movie, though.
Okay.
Anyways, they grow weed. Dax tries to take some. They get found. They get chased.
It's just kind of dumb weed in a movie comedy.
Yeah. Early 2000s, Harold and Kumar kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Harold and Kumar, but I assume...
We're watching that next?
I'd assume since Harold and Kumar is a stoner comedy, it's funnier or more accurate. This is just like... What do people who don't smoke weed think weed does to you? There is a very funny moment in here that I remember both of us laughing at. I cannot remember it.
Okay, so yeah, so I agree with you. The whole idea that like weed farmers would be this evil does definitely seem like whatever. But anyways, yeah, so they go into the pot fields. They try to light off flares so they can see the boys running away, and it starts burning the plants and everybody gets high. And then they start using that laser scope. And there is something we laughed at, but then there's also something that was really fucked up.
Yeah.
Dak Shepard really does a boo-boo here.
He really does.
It's not his fault, I guess, because it's in the script, and also
yeah, but he still did it.
Yeah. Yeah, the dot is on his forehead, and you can...
He does
yeah.
awful Simpsons Apu thing. And,
yeah. Moment of silence for that one. Then Seth Green does a Matrix.
Which sucks. It's my least favorite thing in a movie is when they do a Matrix reference.
Yeah. Then they hop in the pond and they use reeds to,
But what happened
get away
right before that? They run with young Billy.
Very
One
funny.
of them looks over and they see young Billy. Remember?
Matthew does, yeah.
What does he say to him that made us laugh so hard?
I don't know.
It must not have been that funny.
Can't be.
Anyway,
well, if you remember it, whatever. So anyways, they get away. Then what happens?
They're running through the woods, and they run into tree women.
Right. This is a dud for me as well.
Yeah, this
Tree women is big dud.
Tree women don't need to be in this movie.
Yeah, they say some shit that make the boys horny. And then they think they're talking to the police on a ham radio, but really they're talking to the Hicks. The Hicks come. The tree women throw their poop on the guys, and then the boys get away on like a four-wheeler after they do the
zip line.
Nice spot. I don't mind the zip line aspect of it.
No. Backtracking a little bit, we missed some stuff that we liked.
Okay.
They're walking around after the reeds, after escaping those guys. And like, oh, fuck, Dak Shepard, you got shot.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah. And they're stitching him up. And he's like, nah, I lied about the Harley thing. And then Seth Green's like, I'm a doctor, but I'm afraid of everything. It sucks. I'm afraid of cellophane. And,
it's a nice moment.
Matthew Lillard's like, I'm sure I'm ashamed of something, but Nick can't remember right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, get up to the top of this tree and see if you can see anything from up here. And Dak Shepard's up there with binoculars.
It's a bad line. It's such a bad line. But again, Dak Shepard, he's just so charming. It got me. He's looking at the binoculars and he sees the tree woman or whatever. And he goes, guys, I think I'm still stoned. But he just says it like naturally, as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't say it like, guys, I think I'm still stoned or anything like that. Like he just says it in like such a nonchalant way that it's like natural or like, I guess just kind of more true to life. Like one of those things that like is real life funny, I guess. Like if I was up in the tree and I said that, you guys would all laugh a little bit. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a great line for a fucking movie. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's like, I think the thing that saves this movie from being trash
is that I buy that they're all friends.
I like these three guys.
Yeah. And I think they have chemistry.
And even when a joke's bad, I'm like, I like that delivery. Sometimes I don't. But it's them, and we'll get to it, but Burt Reynolds. Mm-hmm. I like all of them.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. If we could stop, dancing around what it is that makes this movie work, the saving grace is definitely these three actors.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they all work together very well. I buy it.
And there's some stuff in it, like the dot on the forehead, or Seth Green rapping in the car.
That I forgot about that. Yeah.
Does not work.
Or the Tom sandwich. There are some duds. There's definitely some duds.
There's some stuff that there's nothing that anyone could have done with that.
Yeah.
But I just like these guys.
I like these guys.
Yeah.
So anyways, then they bump into Burt Reynolds once they're done ziplining and all that kind of nonsense. Oh, no. They go underneath the big rock and they cuddle up because they gotta. And this is the weirdest scene, but it's also funny that Matthew Lillard basically sex talks Seth Green into getting a boner so that it pokes Dax Shepard in the butt and they all scurry around.
It's a good bit.
Yeah, it's all right bit.
It's a good bit, yeah.
Commitment to
Yeah.
sex talk your buddy in the ear while you're spooning him.
Yeah.
Anyways, Burt Reynolds shows up. Burt Reynolds is very funny.
And he's great in this.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't really remember any of his little lines.
I'm trying to think. He plays DB Cooper's friend, and he's out there looking for him. He's been there for like...
Yeah, because initially he was supposed to like flash the flashlight, and then Burt Reynolds would find him or whatever. But it snowed that night, so he couldn't. So he spent the last 35 years in that cabin trying to find DB, and he talks about how he wasted his life, and these guys shouldn't waste theirs, you know.
Yeah, and he's like, I spent 35 years up here in this cabin, sitting on that porch playing the harmonica, and I wasted my life.
Yeah.
Dax Shepard goes, well, hey, I bet you can play the shit out of that harmonica.
Yeah, it's a good Dax line. I also love when they initially come in or whatever, and they're like, all like, ugh, and he's like, I'm not gonna kill you, and they're like, oh, and he's like, if I would, I wouldn't even have brought you inside. It's funny.
Burt Reynolds goes, yeah, and I've spent 35 years up here just because blah, 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 just friendship or whatever.
Yeah.
And Matthew Lillard goes,
Yeah, friendship.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And he goes, I'm sorry, have you spent 35 years in a cabin? No. Well, then you don't know what I mean.
And he goes, yeah, but like hypothetically. He's like, well, have you hypothetically spent 35 years at a cabin? He's like, no. And he's like, then you don't know what I mean.
It's great.
And I also like Bert's line later. Again, not a great joke, but I like Bert. I like Seth when Seth's got the dynamite shirt on. And he's like, dynamite. And Bert's like, dynamite. Or whatever. And he's like, dynamite. Or he's like, no. Like,
he overdoes
dynamite.
it. He's like, take it back just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, we finally get to the climactic ending where the Hicks show up. They shoot up Burt Reynolds' cabin. Burt shoots back. The boys get away. They just happen to kind of fall into the little mine shaft thing because Matthew Lillard is like, oh my God, there's iron in these hills. You know, DB would have thought he was going east, but really the iron would have set it off. He was really going northeast or whatever. Then they fall into the little mine shaft hole. They find DB Cooper, and it's a big revelation because he burned the cash just to have a couple more minutes alive, and this means a whole lot to Matthew Lillard. And they find a little chute that only Seth Green can fit through, so they sing the song that he likes.
Sorry, just right before that, it does bug me a little bit because that doesn't work. The DB Cooper thing, they're like, oh, he sacrificed all that money for just a few more minutes of life. Oh, gee, life is more about more than just material possessions, guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. This isn't a sweet, heartwarming, I understand life thing now.
Yeah.
This is a man who...
He had no other option. It's not like he was like in his infinity pool and was like, you know what? I got everything I need with these guys right here. Let me call my accountant. Doot. Yeah. Burn it all. I don't need it. I got friendship.
That would be like if this was a different movie and they came upon... If they came upon DB Cooper and Burt Reynolds down there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it looks like DB Cooper ate Burt Reynolds to stay alive. And yeah, I guess life is about being fulfilled than making other people's happy, huh?
Yeah.
It's like, no, he ate a guy.
Monster. Hicks show up. There's more whatever. He gets pushed in the hole because Seth Green hits him with a big stick or whatever. Then the sheriff shows up and the sheriff's in on it. And the live grenade thing, which is kind of funny because I love that he run up to him and Matthew Lillard just like, you dicks, I was going to sacrifice myself while you guys ran away, you know. And a big tree falls on all the bad guys. They get away, and then there's the big Star Wars A New Hope moment at the end where they're heroes and yada, yada, yada. And honestly, I feel like this movie does end up in a sweet note because both Matthew and Seth are like, you know what, I don't think I need the money. Why don't you keep it? You guys just split it two ways. And then Seth's like, I don't think I need it either. And, you know, Dax, I think I owe you $100,000 for that fish thing earlier. I think that's very sweet.
Yeah.
And then it's not bad to top it off in the joke where he's like, I'm getting that left nut or whatever. You know, you can see a little half laugh with the sweet. It's good.
Also, I love when Burt Reynolds comes up and goes, keep something closer. Keep your friends closer. And he turns around and shows them the backpack. He goes,
like
got
me.
bones in my backpack.
Yeah, I got DB's bones in my backpack.
But also something
hilarious to me.
You brought up the New Hope ending, and I totally forgot about this movie. I do really enjoy. At the beginning of the movie shows them, you know, they're kids in the 80s, and they love Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Goonies, just all this 80s stuff. And they do, without hitting you over the head with it, ever, recreate like a lot of like 80s action movies.
Yeah.
But it's almost kind of like blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
Like not so much, but like it's quite subtle. Like this is kind of, it's a comedic action movie.
Yeah, it reminds me of something like Fanboys.
Yeah. I don't know what Fanboys is.
It's like that movie where the guys are like trying to get to Skywalker Ranch or something like that. And then there's that whole story about how like one of the guys or something like that like was like a friend of the thing, and he got to see like an early cut because he died or something. Or there's like some kind of like sentimental backstory. All I'm saying is like it's an okay comedy elevated by the fact that it's got like a kind of sweet thing about it. You know, I don't know, just it's kind of like a sweet and sentimental. There's a little heart to it. You know.
Okay.
You know, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying. That's
all
all
I'm saying.
I get it.
You know? I don't know. Someone out there has to know what the Fanboys story was.
I don't.
Obviously, I don't either.
Hey, couldn't be me.
Was not ready for you to call my bluff.
Sorry.
So next time, just give me a yes and. Do you think Hot Tub Time Machine is perhaps comparable
to this?
Yeah, I think it's got like a little sweet underbelly. It's like an okay comedy also.
I ain't never seen no Hot Tub Time Machine.
You never saw Hot Tub Time Machine?
I never saw it. Why would I have seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
It came out like 2010, 2011. You would have been like 12 or 13 or whatever.
Kissing girls,
14.
Chris.
You were not.
You're right. I wasn't, but I wasn't watching Hot Tub Time Machine.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's got the guy from Children's Hospital in it, and John Cusack.
Oh, I know who's in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the kid from Sex Drive that everybody told me I looked like growing up, and it hurt me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it hurt me.
Craig Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, let's bring it back to Jackass for a second. When I was in high school, there was this kid who was very brash and abrasive and also short and like one of the popular guys and kind of looked like almost had a Justin Bieber thing going for him, but like a Metro Detroit off-brand lesser version, yeah. And I can't remember his name, but I remember I had this class in my junior year with him and all of the cool senior kids. It was like current events basically, and it was a huge senior blow-off, and there was a very young attractive teacher who was teaching the class, and she would like kind of like let him get away with murder because she was like, yeah, I want to be cool, you know.
Isn't that just the worst in high school?
Yeah,
when you got like a 22-year-old teacher.
Because this kid that one time was like, oh, is so and so going to Cancun with us for spring break? Dude, I hope she goes. I'm gonna roofie the shit out of her. And the teacher just went, hey, come on, all right, stop it, you know, like that kind of a thing. Where like,
yuck.
And anyways, might even been the same day, but I remember I asked to go to the bathroom, and when I was going to the bathroom, he was coming back from going to the bathroom. We're the only two in the hallway, and he stops me. He's like, you know, you look like Ryan Dunn in his prime. And I was like, thank you? And he's like, no, it's a good thing. And walked away.
Did he have his hand in his pocket? Is that why you did that?
No, that was just me. I don't know. Get into character a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. And I was like, what is he doing? And I was like, oh, okay. I'm there now. I'm immersed in this. Yeah, no, I had, when I was in high school, I had a teacher, and it was her first year teaching. And yeah, she had to be like all of like 23, 24 years old. I mean, my friends were like, oh no, she's hot. And then gotta bleep his name out so many times with this, but she wanted to fuck him so bad. I was like, that's dumb. That's a dumb joke. I don't like this. And then like she'd walk around like collecting homework, and I'd be like, oh no, like not lying, like legitimately like, oh yeah, fuck. No, I left that in so-and-so's room. Can I go get it? And she'd be like, no. You don't have it now, you don't have it. And I was like, fuck, all right. Tough but fair, I guess. And she'd walk around, and she'd get to Jordan. She'd be like, got your homework? He's like, oh no, I didn't do it. And she's like, oh, Jordan. And she'd keep going. I'm like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah. High school is an odd time. Let's throw one more in there. I remember watching the Of Mice and Men movie in English class because we'd read the book. And by read the book, I mean that the professor, or teacher rather, just played like an audiobook or whatever. And the guy on the thing, in my opinion, it was fine to like avoid having to do like basically a impression of somebody with a disability. He just opted for like a more cartoony, moronic thing, like, you know, and then we'll go play with the rabbits. Like it was almost like a Bugs Bunny or something, but like just kind of slowed down a little bit. And I remember as we were watching the movie, John Malkovich, which is fine, but he does the thing that dudes do when they're asked to play a guy with a disability. And I remember walking around during a break in that class, because those classes were set up. I had like block scheduling where it was just 4 classes and each one was like an hour and a half. So we had movie time. But we had a little break, and I was walking around the hallway, and I know the teacher was also walking around kind of behind me a little bit. I remember talking to my friend, I was like, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of uncomfortable, like the John Malkovich thing. I kind of wish we were still listening to the audiobook, it's just kind of like, to a degree, unbelievable. Like, it just sounds like one of my friends doing a shitty impression to try to be funny. Like, it doesn't really like land. And then as soon as we got back in class, of course, the teacher was like, John Malkovich this, and this is such a good portrayal, and of course it sounds more like real and stuff, and it's not as cartoony and dumb as like the audiobook one and stuff like that. And it was like very clearly like, oh God, he overheard me, and he's just pantsing me, but only I know. Like, like specifically like just undermining me, So
did you ever have to do, I'm thinking about this specifically with Of Mice and Men when we read the book. Did you guys ever have to do I think it was called like popcorn reading?
Yeah.
Like you read part and then go popcorn and then call out someone else.
But I tell you what, hand to God, I like never got picked. Every year of high school, every English class, we did that. And I like never got picked.
I remember getting picked once. I think what happened was I was sitting next to a friend, and someone got done and went, Nick. And I just sat there, and we had a substitute that day. And everyone was like looking at me, and the substitute went, "Are you Nick?" And I went, and I pointed at the friend next to me. And she went, okay. And she tapped it on the shoulder. She's like, at principal's office. And she went, okay. And she called on someone else, and I went, nailed it. But I hated that shit so much, because I'm like, yo, I can read the book.
Yeah.
I can do it myself. A lot of these kids just can't read, and so I'm absorbing none of this book.
Yeah. That's a very sad thing. My partner's an English teacher, and genuinely, like, she teaches like juniors, and there's a lot of kids who are like, they're reading like Of Mice and Men and shit like that, and like even up until them finishing the book and like watching the movie and stuff like that, like she was like, there were still kids raising their hand like, so is this like a true story or whatever? And she'd be like, no guys, we literally just read this book, like this is a book, and now it's a movie.
That sucks.
You
We moved this out. What does she teach? Oh no, I remember.
Yeah, but anyways,
yeah, the high school kids are dumb. That's what we're getting at.
I wanted to slam one more high school story in there. Oh yeah, here's just a weird one that I don't know, again, it reminds me, and I always tell these stories in tandem because it feels like another mind game. I don't know what was going on here. I did not do well in English in high school. I got like a D my senior year. Semi-ironic since I now have a degree in English.
That's actually very funny. I didn't think about that.
But yeah, I remember I had a teacher. Can I just name drop the teacher?
I give a shit.
Yeah, Mr. Hanley, I think, or maybe it was Mr. Stanley. No,
Fuck you, Mr. Stanley.
Mr. Hanley, I think, was the one who punked me out on the John Malkovich shit.
Yeah,
Mr.
fuck you.
Stanley was a younger guy, kind of gave me Pete Holmes energy, but much larger, like Jason Segel size.
Oh,
big
love
guy.
a Jason Segel, Pete Holmes teacher.
Yeah.
The best.
Like I remember one time bumping into him in my senior year, but he only taught junior. And we were just in the library, and we were just talking about like podcasts we listened to while we jog, Cool guy. Anyways, did very bad in his class, and I remember I like missed an assignment or something like that, and I like emailed him like about it to try to like grease the wheel, and like any kind of weird nerdy kid who's like, I want to be a screenwriter. Like I just had that like, kind of like wily, like self-deprecating kind of like, hey, what do you think? You could cut me some slice, like let me off easy.
Slice off some slack for me.
Slice off some slack for me. I was trying to be like kind of meek about it, like, hey, why don't you? But like also charming. And legitimately in front of the whole class the next day in school was like, Chris, look how good this stuff is. I mean, I just love this. I'm eating up like the stream of consciousness, like on the projector. And like talking about how like look at how good this is and stuff like that to like everybody and stuff, and like showing it to people and being like, and I remember him saying something to the degree of like, where's more? I want more of this. Like, where's this? That kind of a thing. And it like really did make me feel good.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, it was like an eyebrow raising thing where I was like, why in front of the whole class though?
Yeah, that's weird.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did pretty all right in English, if I remember. We're going to cut a lot of this. So this is just me and you being friends and having conversations about high school. I did pretty well in English, and I had a pretty dope English teacher named Mr. Booms. Very, very handsome man.
Nice.
And was a drummer in a punk rock band.
Nice.
And he was married to my 5th grade teacher, which is cool. Also just crazy hot. Cut all that out. Where I talk about how hot this couple that raised me was. And like, oh god, Chris, he was so cool. Like I would, we'd have like a thing, like we'd have writing assignments every day, and so you had a journal that you would keep in his classroom, and you'd write your shit down for the day, and then you'd go put it back in the bin where it went, and he'd grade them all and put them back the next day. And I'm, a young kid in school, so I'm drawing like band logos on the back of my notebooks, and like I'd get it back the next day, and I'd look at it, and in the red pen that he like graded my assignment with, he drew more band logos on the back of my notebook, and I'm like, fuck, this guy's so cool.
Hell yeah.
And then we'd have like writing assignments and stuff like that. That'd be like, hey, just like shit that's like, hey, make something up and write it. And it'd be like, hey, it's got to be 2 to 3 pages. And then like the day the rough draft is due, I'd be like, Mr. Booms, I'm so sorry, but I have 15 pages. And I don't know if I'm done or I'm close to done, and I'm not ready to turn anything in yet. And he's like, oh, just keep going, bro. And it'd be like 2 weeks after the like final draft is done, and he's like, hey, how's that going? And I'm like, I got like all these pages. And he's like, yeah, just keep going, bro.
That's really cute. What would you give without a paddle? Out of 10, if you could.
Out of 10, or am I grading it?
I give it a grade. I always mix the two up.
I give it
a Z.
A Z.
For so cool.
For I'm asleep. I think a D is too mean.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know what.
Fitting, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a D.
Yeah.
But there could be some things that you can enjoy in the D category.
Listen, we haven't said it out loud, but we're trying very hard to get Matthew Lillard on our podcast that 30 people listen to.
Yeah, it would really blow me away. That would really...
So I don't want to say anything bad about any of the movies he's in, but...
What a treat he is in this film.
We've pretty much just said bad things about everything except for Scream.
Seems like the coolest guy.
Absolutely. He's... Here, we'll make it up on the back end. We are always saying it.
Well, let's watch Hackers. That's another movie he's considered to be in that's good. And he's in Twin Peaks Season 3. We like that.
Yeah, one of us loves that. Yeah. It's me.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to pull up his IMDb real quick.
Okay. Gonna be a lot of Scooby-Doo.
Do you know where Matthew Lillard is from?
No.
Chris, Matthew Lillard was born in Lansing, Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. That's insane.
We could ask him to come next time he's visiting family.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking stoked about that. You know what I just thought of?
Huh.
Do you remember Nick Gass, Games and Sports?
Yeah.
The like
extra... I thought you meant a man was named Nick Gass.
No. Like the extra Nickelodeon channel?
Yeah.
I remember watching that just like super late at night, and like an old like skateboarding show came on.
Okay.
There was like a Nickelodeon show, I believe, about just skating, and it was like, hey, check out Johnny Hissaway doing this sick trick. And the host of it was like a 14-year-old Matthew Lillard, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So much Scooby-Doo on here. I thought it would give me just like a quick, like, hey, here's the top of the pops. But he's in Scream. Did you know that?
No. That's really interesting.
He's in Scream 2 as Guy at Party. He's an SLC punk.
That meant a lot to me as a kid, but I don't think it holds up as much.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
He plays a guy named Snake Eater in Triangle Square.
Don't know what that is. Guarantee it's about video games.
Yeah. He's in 13 Ghosts, as we know.
We do know that, yeah.
He's in Looney Tunes Back in Action. Without a Paddle, Scooby-Doo. This bit isn't going as good as I thought it would. Chris, I'm being honest, I kind of forgot we were doing a podcast. Kind of just sitting here hanging out talking to you.
That's all right. I think, all things considered, that might be that mattress, man.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,